go. All right. What's up, Turtle Riders? How's everybody doing tonight? Good? All right, folks. What's happening? Welcome to the Turtleboy live show. I'm going to go ahead right now and share this link on the various Facebook accounts. Clarence Woods Emerson got back from suspension a day or two ago. He's healthy. Go give him a follow. He's up to 25,273 followers. Not too shabby. But also go ahead and like the Turtleboy Sports page and the Uncle Turtleboy page, guys. Go ahead and like those. I've shared it on there. Also, I've shared it on my Twitter account. I got two of them, at Dr. Turtleboy and at Turtleboy Phone. Follow it all, baby. I've actually gained a lot of followers recently in the last couple of days, especially on Twitter, thanks to the story that we're going to be talking about tonight. So how is our audience? Like 91 people. Where is everyone, folks? Let's share that. Let's get it out there. We're here, by the way, if this is your first time on the live show, I'm here every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday night. I'm with this fella named Brett Killerin. You'll like him. He's pretty shy. He doesn't really swear much or anything like that. Pretty mild mannered fella. Doesn't pick on anyone or anything like that. So if you like to watch that show, it's more of a laid back show. No, I'm just kidding. It's it's debaucherous. So if you got, that's when things get really interesting on Saturday nights, because I do a freestyle that episode too. So anyway, I am a freestyle rapper. A lot of people don't know that about me, but yeah. So smash that subscribe button. We're up to like 16,500 something subs on this. So let's keep that going. Keep the momentum. Like Turtleboy on everything, and we'll get this started. Okay. Also, if you guys like the program and want to see it continue and kind of want to support what I do, this is kind of how I make a living, is doing these shows on YouTube. There's a little dollar button down the bottom, a dollar sign thing. If you hit that, that's called a super chat, and you can donate whatever amount of money you want to the program. And when you do that, you get a little thing that comes up that says whatever the fuck you want to write on it. So you can write, shout out to my dog, my homie in Cell Block G, my baby girl, mama, whoever, that girl who gave me chlamydia, fuck you, whatever you want to do. You can put it all on there. So anyway, let's jump right into this. So obviously I spent a lot of time on this program in the past talking about the Mikayla Miller case. We all remember. Thank you very much, Cassie P. Thank you. We all remember the Mikayla Miller case. She was a 16-year-old girl in Hopkins, Massachusetts. Basketball player, black, and lesbian. And she had a girlfriend named Caitlin Anderson. And they broke up, as teens are known to do. And Mikayla did not handle it well. And she was pretty upset about it. So she was lashing out, and Caitlin, to her credit, saw all of the things that were going on with her and became worried about her and decided that she's going to tell the guidance counselor, and along with some other people. Thank you, Frankie Rizzo says Becky turns me on. Absolutely. She's going to tell a guidance counselor about that she's worried about her. So she sends emails in. The guidance counselor recognizes it with the receipt, writes back. They have those. She attempted to contact Mikayla Miller's aunt because her mother was hardly ever around. Her mother's name is Calvina Struthers. She's a hairdresser in Hopkins, and they recently moved here from Quincy. And she has a history of domestic violence against her own daughter. Her daughter was removed from her care and put into DCF care in March of 2020, right before COVID hit. So it was not ideal. So she attempted to contact her aunt. Her aunt never wrote her back. And one day they set it up where Caitlin was going to go retrieve a bunch of her belongings from Mikayla's apartment, right? And Mikayla had previously attempted to commit suicide on FaceTime by choking herself with the belt, her mother's black belt. So they go to get the belongings, and she's with four of her friends. Two of them are old friends from North Brookfield, because that's where Caitlin Anderson was initially from, was from North Brookfield. And they were visiting two boys, a Puerto Rican kid and a white kid. And then the new girl she was seeing or whatever, and one other girl. They were all with her. So this causes tension. And it's an ugly breakup. It's taken place inside the condo in this area called a clubhouse, where there's like a pool table and stuff like that. And in the clubhouse, things start getting heated and it turns physical. And in self-defense, after being cornered, Caitlin punches Mikayla, and immediately the other kids, at least one of the boys, attempted to break it up. So that was the end of it, and they got the hell out of there. 2 or 3 hours later, the boys had driven back to North Brookfield. They were seen at the Wendy's in Sturbridge after getting off the Massachusetts Turnpike. The 2 girls were in various homes, the 3 girls rather, all verified by cell phone data that puts them in those places, and there's witnesses that saw them, etc. This is relevant because Mikayla Miller died that night at approximately between 9:30 and 10 o'clock. She hung herself. She was found dead the next day by a jogger on this common path a lot of people use right off of West Main Street, right off of 495, really. And it was a suicide. She was found basically standing up, leaned forward, had tied the belt to the other end of a skinny tree, and just choked herself. You can kill yourself rather easily that way. It does take effort. It does take willpower, and it does take, I've always said this about suicide, mental illness. Like you're not in a well place if you're willing to do that to yourself. So she saw no outlet. It's a terrible, tragic story. It gets me choked up even thinking about how awful and sad and alone that girl must have felt. But instead of caring about her or doing anything about it, of course, we know now that immediately, because she was black, people saw this as an opportunity to grandstand and push their political agenda with it. So who is the one leading the charge? That is a mystery that remains to this day. We know that her mother obviously was pushing this. They were told it was a suicide, but mom did not want to accept that. She thought it had to be tied to these kids earlier, but clearly it wasn't. They've all been cleared. So if it wasn't them, obviously, then who else could it be? I mean, obviously she must have killed herself. She's threatened to commit suicide. I mean, there's just 1,000,001 reasons why it was a suicide. Okay. Nobody ever doubted it with half a brain. So somebody gets this lie started. Now, I personally believe Rachael Rollins is behind it because she was in contact with Calvina Struthers for no reason. Hopkinton is nowhere near Suffolk County. It's in Middlesex County. So why is the district attorney for Boston, basically, in northern Boston, getting involved in this? Why? What? She had no jurisdiction there. She's intervening in Marion Ryan's territory. Her office was on it. There was really not that much to investigate, really. So they turn it into a whole racial thing. The woman lies and claims that I was never contacted. This is disputed. I don't believe anything Calvina Struthers says. And next thing you know, Monica Cannon Grant is involved. So Monica Cannon Grant does the dirty work for Rachael Rollins of the world. Rachael Rollins is a snake. She does things behind the scenes without getting like caught because she's a politician. Whereas she's just like, I can just feed this to Monica and she'll go insane. And I think that's what she did. And she fed it to Monica. And she just ran with this lie that this girl was lynched by 5 white teenagers, which is a lie. That their parents are cops, which was a lie. None of them had parents or family members who were police officers. Not a single one of them. One of them had a grandfather who died 20 years before they were born. So, big influence there. Well, so this huge mob descends on Hopkinton for this vigil. And I went to the stupid vigil. It was a big fucking joke. It was Monica making awkward comments about cheese sandwiches and like degrading white people, and white people being like, yeah, I'm so lame. Yeah, we suck. And nobody really ran with it. Like a lot of liberal media outlets ran with it. Vox did a stupid story on it that they never corrected. And then on May 18th, the medical examiners, and by the way, in between then, Ayanna Pressley, Elizabeth Warren, a lot of people at Markey, they all put out things saying that like suggesting that there should be an independent investigation, which is just absurd because the district attorney is an independent organization and they're doing an investigation. So what the hell did they fucking want? Never, what did these people want? So next thing you know, even with the release of the fucking goddamn autopsy report. I thought that would be case closed, but it wasn't. They're like, no, the autopsy report's lying too. So everybody's lying about this. And, some media outlets pick up on it. Of course, Tori Bedford, who, by the way, has been quiet ever since I did that expose on her over at WGBH. But a lot of media outlets just ran with it because whatever. They didn't really care about the follow-up. They didn't care about exposing Monica Cannon-Grant. They didn't care about her past, her history of racism towards Rayla Campbell and many others. They didn't care about any of that. So this story dies out a little bit. And while this is all going on, I'm trying to look for somebody in conservative media. Like, I don't get it. I've broken a lot of big stories that are right up people like Tucker Carlson's alley. Like the Monica Cannon-Grant story itself from a year ago. What she was saying, all those things about a black congressional candidate. To me, that seems like a woman who runs Ayanna Pressley's campaign, is heavily involved in Joe Kennedy's campaign, and is stealing all this money. It's like, that didn't appeal to them. People forget, I broke the High Five Friday story at Northampton in 2017. That was a national story. I broke that. I got no credit for it. Nothing. I broke so many big stories, and I never get credit for it. And it's kind of like a running joke at this point. Occasionally you'll get, it's like the rare times, like the Boston Globe has cited me multiple times somehow. The Washington Post has cited me. And whatever. Now, it's a running joke, right? But at the same time, it's like, come on, what do I got it? What's a brother got to do to catch a break around here? I do a lot of work. I'm not going to lie. I work my ass off. I take this pretty seriously. And I know my break, I know it's coming, right? I got a couple new blue check marks follow me today. Shout out to them if any of them are listening right now. I got some people that know people are finding out about Turtleboy, but it has been intentionally stunted. My growth has been stunted like no one else's, right? I've lost the Facebook page with 112,000 followers. I probably have close to 500,000 right now. I've been banned from Twitter for 2 years. I had 20,000 followers. I'm down to 6,500 right now, trying to rebuild that. It's a pain in the ass. I can't get a blue check mark for the life of me, God knows, right? I've been banned from PayPal. Right? I had a GoFundMe shut down in 24 hours after raising $15,000 for legal defense fees to fight a transgender activist who abuses his children in court over a bullshit restraining order that he got against me without any evidence whatsoever, which, by the way, has been moved to federal court, so we no longer have to deal with Judge Melissa Derrigan. I have been banned from Google AdSense, which makes it impossible to monetize Turtleboy Sports. So I had to create a whole new website called TB Daily News and publish 2 versions of every single story I write, which makes just whatever harder, right? I've created my own platform now with Turtle Club, which is self-sufficient. So I'm a survivor, man. But it ain't easy. It ain't easy. And getting by, is one thing, but getting bigger and getting noticed by bigger names, that comes from getting properly cited, right? So it's really important. It's really important when you do all the work and people feel like they don't have to cite you. So while this is all going on, there was a reporter named Andy Ngo who was the only conservative media person that I saw post about this. Now, Andy Ngo, if you're unfamiliar with him, he does a lot of really good work. He's a blue check mark. I first noticed him a couple years ago when he had 100,000 followers, and he was doing a lot of work exposing Antifa because he's from Portland, Oregon, as well as exposing a lot of fake hate crimes. And his DMs are open. That's kind of rare with these these bigger name media people. Now, Andy Ngo, a lot of the liberals hate him. Liberals hate him. He's a gay Asian man that they hate apparently because he's. I wouldn't even say he's blatantly conservative because he's never he doesn't share strong opinions, but the type of people he exposes are always left-wing radicals. So if you do that, that means you're conservative nowadays. So he exposes Antifa. That's his big thing. Portland, Oregon is the home of, it's the nexus of the universe for Antifa. And it's where they're the most out of control. They own that city. And he would just go and take videos of them and expose them. And eventually he became so well known on Twitter that he couldn't do that anymore, because this is why 2 years ago, this video happens of Andy Ngo. I'll bring it up here. Check this out. Nope. Chrome tab. All right, check this out. Boom, milkshake. Boom, milkshake. Boom, milkshake. This is back when Antifa was milkshaking anyone that summer. They were putting concrete in some milkshakes. He's like 5'5". He's a little guy. And he's just a guy that goes around with a cell phone and films, and a GoPro, and he films people, right? And he's done great work. I mean, he is the guy when it comes to exposing Antifa. I like Andy Ngo a lot. And so I reach out to him. Right? I reach out to Andy. And so, because his DMs are open, I saw you retweeted this. I introduce myself and I tell the whole story about what happens. Now, I am not going to publish our conversation because I believe some things are sacred, right? And I don't feel like burning a bridge with Andy Ngo, quite frankly. Because like I said, I do enjoy his work and I don't whatever. I'll get to that. But, and I wasn't sure how I felt about this, whether or not I was going to talk about this, because I'm like, do I really? But at the same time, I just how many times can you get dicked over without fighting back? How many times? So I messaged him and I said, I let him know about the whole thing. I sent him, links about what was happening with Calvina Struthers and Monica Cannon Grant and her history of racism. And he took an interest in it. This is on May 10th. And he's asking me a lot of questions, right? And then he asked me, can you put me in touch with the ex-girlfriend? And so I went and I got, I couldn't get the girl, obviously, but I said, I can get your mom. I can get the mom. So then I'm acting as the go-between now, right? I had Mrs. Anderson on the show. If you guys remember that episode, a great episode, go listen to it. If you haven't, I think it's episode, was it 322? I forget. But I had her on. And it was groundbreaking because prior to that, you only heard Monica's side of the story. And so now the mother of the other victim in this situation and the hero at the same time, Caitlin Anderson, her mother, Megan, comes on and I get her phone number. Now, Megan Anderson didn't know who Andy Ngo was. If you're not on Twitter, you might not know who he is. It's kind of funny how Twitter exists in a bubble. Like people think it's real life, but if you're not on there, you wouldn't know who half these people are. But so I get, I explain who he is to her and I'm like, she was very scared. She was distrustful. So she's like, I'm like, I vouched for him. I'm like, you can trust him. He's good shit. I'm like, and so I told Andy, I'm like, she's a little bit nervous. Just be gentle with her, text her first and then call her. And he was very respectful of that. And he was good with her. And, he's asking me questions the whole time. So he's working on this story. And I'm looking at this back and forth. This went on for weeks, this back and forth between Andy and I, right? And I'm helping him out. He's asking really good questions. He's a good reporter, right? He's asking really good questions. And he's like, I can't publish anything unless I speak to the mother. And so that's good reporting. You're not going to do anything unless you could talk to the witness, right? So I'm like, okay, good. This is great. And he's asking me all these questions, right? And I made sure to write in there. I'm like, if you write about this, please cite TV Daily News. Please cite it. And, I said, can you not, I'm like, some things I'm like, can you not report this? Like this has to stay confidential about, he's like, who are your sources? And I'm like, some of my sources are anonymous. And so I'm like, I can tell you, but you can't, I don't give you permission to publish this. And so it's all in this conversation, this log I have with him, which again, I'm not going to print out, but I'm telling you what happened here to show you I do my work. Okay. And I gave him, the names of all the kids. I knew the names and he had them all too. I can keep things anonymous, he said. And he goes, I'm willing to speak to her lawyer. And so I got him in touch with her lawyer. And, he had some troubles too. Like I love Megan is a nice lady. She's a little tough to reach sometimes. Okay. And I was the guy that was just like, no, this story needs to get written. I'm like, I'm going to make sure this story gets written. So like every time communication between the two of them began to break down, I would go and I would contact her and I'd be like, I know you're going through a lot right now. I think it'd be good. This guy's got a really big following. He can put it in a real big publication. I think you should talk to him. You can trust me. And she trusted me and I vouched for her. You know what I mean? So I set this whole thing up. I did all of the legwork for this. Like we were in daily communication about this. Okay. Like this goes on and on and on. Like I answered everything and I sent him pictures that were later used in this image of that only I had. Nobody else had these pictures. And you know, he's asking for clarification about things. I'm giving him updates. I told him about when Ben Crump was involved. He's like, wow, that's Ben Crump. That's like a big name, you know? And he's like, what is this? He goes, what is she talking about when she says, Monica, what is she talking about when she says the white supremacist organization? I go, oh, that's me. That's me. TB Daily News. She calls me the white supremacist. And so he's just asking questions about that. But I made it clear that like, look I reported on this and I introduced myself and I said, I have a pretty sizable following in New England, right? Like it's not, if you ask anybody in Massachusetts, do you know, or Rhode Island, do you know what Turtleboy is? Like chances are they're going to say yes. But if you ask people in, you know, Utah or whatever, Kansas, they're going to be like, never heard of it. No one in Montana. There was no Turtle Rider hats in Montana when I was there. There should be, but there's not yet. Someday. And that's because I'm not published nationally. I don't have connections, right, with bigger blue check marks that have national followings. And so that's why establishing relationships like this is important to the growth of Turtleboy sports. You need to establish relationships with people who are bigger than you. Okay. It's marketing 101. To me, it's building a blog 101. One of the first people I really made contact with, if you read my book, in 2014 were Kirk Minahan and Jerry Callahan, because I discovered them through the magic of Twitter. I listened to these guys on the radio. I've listened to them for a long time. They're celebrities of sorts. And Twitter gives you the ability to just interact with them. If they retweet you, if you catch their eye, then one day Jerry and Kirk followed me back. They found me interesting enough to follow back because the content I was creating was compelling. And so that is how, and that's why it's really important for me to stay on Twitter, even more so than Facebook, is because I need, as far as developing professional relationships in what I do, it's the most important thing, is being on Twitter. It's the most important social media platform. Facebook is where more people are. And let's be honest, it's an older group now, right? Whereas Twitter is where all the, the media goes. Media and celebrities use Twitter, and celebrities more use Instagram, but Twitter is, the media owns Twitter, and politicians. So I need to be on there. And so, this goes on, and we're asking questions and blah, 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 blah. And finally, he's asking me more and more. And now we're up to May 18th. Again, this started on May 10th. And it's just, I'm more than happy to help him out. I'm more than happy. And then I said, were you still planning on writing this? This is on May 19th. And he said, it's in the editing process for the New York Post. I had to go through interviewing a lawyer. Okay. And then on May 25th, I messaged him and I said, did they publish it yet? And he said, not yet, delayed for weeks. And I said, weeks, how come? And he didn't respond. Okay. And, in between then, Andy Ngo got the shit kicked out of him again, because that's what happens to this poor guy. Let me show you this video. Did you see the one where Andy Ngo was cornered? Andy Ngo, let's see. And you search for the videos of it. Let's see. Andy Ngo, Antifa, hotel. Let me see. Check this out. Nazi scum! Nazi scum! I hate Antifa so much, and that's why Andy Ngo is so appealing, is that he just exposes the worst fucking scumbags known to mankind. Check this out. This is him. So he has to go undercover now. He like wears a freaking disguise and they still recognized him. He was dressed as Antifa and they recognized him and he ran into a hotel. And this wheelchair Antifa, I'd like to throw this guy off a bridge or something. He's always at these things in Portland. And this is them cornering him in the hotel. So this is why I'm like, I didn't message him for a few weeks here after this incident.
Nazi scum! You see my face, Andy? Andy, you see my face? You see my fucking face? Andy, you see now? Where is it? Yeah,
They seem nice. Like he's literally, to his credit, like he literally puts his life on the line. Like it's fucking crazy. And the media insists that he's not a journalist, whatever. I think he's a journalist. I mean, from my work with him, he asked journalistic questions that the mainstream media would not. So I was impressed by his question asking. So then the story comes out. It's not the New York Post. It's Newsweek. And this story came out on the 25th or the 26th, I believe. So this is the story. Let me bring it up here. And also, I'll bring up Andy's tweet that goes along with this too, which I think was in the blog I published before. Oh, actually, let me first show you his tweet, which most of you have probably seen by now. I had it on before, but so this is his tweet. He says, after a black teen died in Massachusetts, BLM activists spread rumors she was lynched by a white mob. Her family started a GoFundMe, and celebrity attorney Benjamin Crump is representing them. But what really happened to Mikayla? Read my Newsweek report. Okay, cool. No mention of me in there. Kind of whack. But whatever. Let's read the article. Surely I must be in the article. I mean, I did like the majority of legwork for this freaking article. Like a lot of legwork. And like this wouldn't be a story without me. Like, let's be perfectly clear about this. He wouldn't even know about this. So he says, Mikayla Miller took a walk through the woods near her Hopkins house, blah, blah, blah. The next day, her body was found along a trail. Mikayla encountered the girl she loved, along with 4 of her friends in the clubhouse. Harsh words escalated into a physical confrontation. The Massachusetts medical examiner ruled the death a suicide last month, although the role the earlier altercation may or may not have played is still being probed by the Middlesex County prosecutor. Mikayla's mother and local Black Lives Matter activists maintain the black lesbian teenager was murdered in a modern-day lynching, and they implicate the, quote, white mob the girl had encountered before her death. Monica Cannon Grant, a BLM activist from Boston and spokeswoman for Mikayla's family, had publicly blamed a group of white cop kids for killing Mikayla and also named the ex-girlfriend, whose parents are not in law enforcement. Mikayla's mother has claimed on social media her daughter was, quote, lured outside the night she died. Their protests caught the attention of politicians, including Baker, Warren, and Presley. Mikayla's death was a tragedy, and let's see, she and all of our LGBTQ youth colored, this is a quote from somebody, said a statement from Senator Warren. George Floyd's family attorney, Ben Crump, announced this week he was representing Mikayla's family. So this was written a month ago. DA Marion Ryan has said mobile phone data, surveillance footage, and toll information show the teens were nowhere near Mikayla when she died. She's rejected calls by Mikayla's family to recuse herself. The family says she mishandled the investigation. So far, is there anything that you all don't know about this? Is there anything? No. I know all of this stuff. I've literally reported all of this. All of this is in the reports that I sent to Andy Ngo. Again, I have no problem with that because I just want the story to get out because to me, this is an important story. I want Monica Cannon Grant exposed to a larger audience, and Newsweek is a pretty big publication, even though it's like a left-wing publication. But I'm still happy it's getting out there. None of the teens have been charged. For the first time, and this is the quote that got me, for the first time, Mikayla's girlfriend's family is speaking out, offering details to Newsweek about Mikayla's allegedly abusive home life and troubled state of mind in the days before his death. And so I screenshot that and I send that to Andy and I go, it's just inaccurate to say this is the first time she's speaking out. Like, it's just a lie. She spoke with me on my interview, which I sent to you. I have the receipts. I sent it to you. I've literally sent you blogs where I interviewed Megan Anderson and I set you up with her. I'm like, I did all this work. This isn't the first time. And so I said, what's up with that? And he goes, that's not fair. It's not a lie. She had not spoken on record to any news print publication prior. And that's whack. Come on. That's whack. To say, you haven't I'm not a newsprint publication. What does that mean? Because I'm not Newsweek. I mean, Andy Ngo is an independent journalist. He, of all people, should be the last person on earth to say, well, like, you're not legit because you don't work for a mainstream media outlet. Would it be more legit if I worked for NBC or the New York Times or one of these news media outlets that hates you and hates people who think like you and hates people on our team? Like, some of the best media outlets out there, some of the best journalists in our world today are independent bloggers, people on Substack. Like, Glenn Greenwald might be the best journalist in the United States, and he left The Intercept because he didn't want to work for a corporate media outlet. Matt Taibbi, another great journalist. These guys just start their own Substack. That's what the best and the brightest are now doing. Barry Weiss leaves the New York Times, starts a Substack, successful. A lot of people are successful doing their own thing. I don't have to create a Substack. I have my own Substack. It's called TB Daily News. I don't need it. So like I said, I've been ahead of this game for quite some time on a smaller scale, but I've figured out all this tech censorship. I've seen this coming because I've been censored since before it was cool to be censored on tech platforms. So I'm like, what's up? You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm trying to make a name for myself. You were once nobody, right? We were all that, like, you're not going to hook, like, and to tell me she had not spoken on record to any news what do you think I am? I'm a news. It's called TB Daily News. It's news. Like, what constitutes news? I probably have more viewers on a daily basis than the Boston Globe. That should count for something. Sorry. And I was just it's like finding out Santa Claus isn't real. Like, that's the best way I could describe this. I'm like, Andy, no, let me down. But the story goes on because, by the way, nowhere in here, spoiler alert, am I linked? And I said, can you, and he did, he thanked me. And he said, I said, well, can you link Turtleboy in the story? Can you link it in there? And he said, he's like, are you upset? He goes, I don't, I hope you understand why. Because he said, I can't cite you in there because the editors wouldn't let me. And I've asked him several times, okay, what's the name of the editor? I'll reach out to them. And he hasn't told me. Okay. So what I did yesterday, right? I started, because people were like doubting me. They're like, let's look at Andy Ngo's mentions before we actually, let's finish the article. Then we'll go to Andy Ngo's mentions. It says, she says her teen daughter has been subjected to doxing, assassination, character assassination, and relentless harassment. She spoke to Newsweek on the conditions her daughter's name and photo would not be published. She's 16. If I don't say anything, she'd probably be in the hospital or dead now. Again, we've talked to her about all this. Mikayla was grabbing her by the neck and the sweatshirt. We know all this. The two girls were described as best friends who dated on and off for 2 years. We know all this. There's literally nothing in here, not a single piece of news that I have not reported. Okay. This came from the frickin' my blog. you know. I mean, courtesy of the Anderson family, but I got that off of her Twitter account. I mean, her Instagram account. So anyway, whatever, you know. This whole thing happens, and then we go back to the Twitter world. So let's check this out. So I'm having this communication with Andy, and I'm like torn here because I'm like, okay, how do I handle this? My biggest weakness as a person and as like a journalist and like my personality is I burn bridges. I burn way too many bridges. Like when I get pissed, I burn bridges. Like I'm not afraid to be like, okay, fuck this person. I'm done with them. And then you can't get that person back. They're no longer useful to you. But at the same time, like I'm not an ass kisser and I'm not somebody who bites their tongue. And there's only so much I can take. And I was not that upset about this at first, but people were upset on my behalf because Andy and I we're on the same team at the end of the day, right? We're both anti-Antifa, all that stuff, anti-Monica Candy Grant. We're on the same team. We should be working towards the same goal. We should be working together. But I did so much work. And then to just be told that you're not a news publication, it's like, what the fuck? Are you kidding me? So luckily, that is where Turtle Riders took over because I tweeted about it. I was like upset about it. And he's like, you know, it caused a little bit of tension. And all of a sudden, if you look at Andy's mentions here, I'll show you what people were saying. Like it's insane the amount of people on Twitter who just had my back. Like it's crazy, right? Like all these people. Turtleboy had this months ago. Turtleboy broke this story well over a month ago. Probably should give them credit. No, there's literally nothing new added. Another one. I'm a fan of Andy Ngo, but Turtleboy put 90% of the facts together for this story. Please give him credit. Pay homage to Turtleboy. I mean, it's all, everything on here is Turtleboy. Like all these people are like, Turtleboy wrote, like Turtleboy did this. You know, I'm being tagged in it. I'm getting everywhere. So yeah, all these people are like going nuts. And so I retweet it and I'm upset about it. And I'm having this conversation with them and I've had enough. So, cause some people were in the comments saying like, not that it should matter what these people are saying, but they're saying things like, who's Turtleboy? Who are you talking about? Andy doesn't need help. And that's when I get offended. That's when I'm like, oh, fuck this shit. They go, and one guy goes, prove it. Prove that you had something to do with this. And I'm like, okay. So I start screenshotting our conversation and it's some guy with 5 followers. Ultimately, he doesn't matter, but I just was pissed. I'm like, okay. So I respond and I put screenshots of him saying like, they're like, prove that you set this up. And I'm like, okay, here's him saying, can you get me in touch with Megan Anderson's mom? And I did. And the guy and people were like, wow. What's up with some guy goes, if those aren't doctored, this is really fucked up. Like that you're not even gonna mention that, like to say it's the first time, like that's just fucked up. So you know, I didn't think that much of it, but the more I thought about it, like I'm like people were pissed on my behalf. Like I love all you people out there that like had my back on Twitter. Eventually Andy did do this, okay? This is what, and a lot of people were happy about this. They messaged me, but I'm like, yeah, kind of lukewarm to it. Lukewarm, rather. It says, we all owe a thanks to @Turtleboy Tweets, which isn't even, I mean, that's like the fan account. That's like, I don't run that account. So we all owe a thanks to Turtleboy Tweets for the blog's role in keeping the real Mikayla Miller story alive when other legacy media sites were just parroting this unsubstantiated claims from BLM activists surrounding the late teens family. And then he didn't link like a specific blog. He just linked turtleboysports.com, which is not even the site that I use and promote on social media. I use tvdailynews.com. And it's just like a lot. It's literally the bare minimum. I mean, I don't know how I feel about this. Like, do you guys think is this a good thing? I mean, I guess it's better than nothing, right? It's something. It's something I could screenshot and be like, okay, here I am, you know. But at the same time, it's like, I did a little bit more than that. But, I mean, here's the thing about it. People like, nobody knows who Turtleboy is. It's like, if you ask my followers, I bet most people didn't know who Andy Ngo was. I'm sure a lot of you did. but I'm sure a lot of you didn't. So like people are popular in different areas in different parts of society. In New England, I mean, who's more well known in New England, quite frankly, as far as media goes around here? Who is? I don't know. Thank you very much, Amber. But anyway, what'd she say? New hashtag for writers. Hashtag give Turtleboy credit. I like that one, Amber. Good job. Okay, so do you guys have any questions or anything on that? If not, I can talk about the we could just open up I was going to talk about the Rachael Rollins story out of Winthrop. I could save that for another day though. Sorry I didn't have much content today. I've had some issues with anxiety in the last 24 hours. It's been acting up again. This shit doesn't go away, and it's hard to work when that happens, but I'm working through it. I'm getting through it. I'm still here. I'm in one piece. I have a therapist. I have people I can talk to now. So I'm good. I'm good. You don't have to worry about me. But that's why I only really had time for one blog today. Okay. I mean, I don't know if I hope that he redeems himself. Let's just put it that way. I don't want to say lost respect, but I hope that he redeems himself. Okay. All right. Anything else? The Planet Fitness attack. You know what? Tomorrow night on Turtle Club, I might show that video. Fuck it. I don't care. I'm going to show that video tomorrow night on Turtle Club. I don't care if they kick me out, whatever. I've gone to the police, so it's like evidence now. And he took a selfie with me. Like, you take a selfie with somebody, it's okay. You know, like, what are you going to, like, you take a selfie with a guy, it's assumed that it's okay to film you, you know? Turtle Club should work on a phone. A lot of people will use it on mobile. It's definitely more friendly on the computer. It should work on mobile. I've watched it on mobile many times. When I told my attorney in Worcester about Turtleboy, he said it's a joke. Why do they think that? A Turtleboy, I mean, well, it sounds like your attorney's a joke. No offense. But a Turtleboy article helped prove my innocence. Oh, glad to hear. Free my boy. But why do they think it's a joke? Maybe it's because it's called Turtleboy. Maybe a lot of people just don't have. We are so conditioned to just believe that, like, if it's not a corporate media outlet, it doesn't count. Like, get out. People that are in that mindset, they're the joke. Laugh at them. They're living in the past. They're living in a world that has long since passed them by. Because everybody knows the stories I break are legit. And I'm really careful in my wording, guys, the way I do things. Like, I took a lot of time today on that Rachael Rollins blog because I wanted to word that puppy correctly. I read it and I reread it a bunch of times because I needed to make it clear. Like, if it turns out that this guy is in fact like a fucking lunatic white supremacist, I don't want to eat crow because that possibility is still out there. That was the whole purpose of the blog, is we don't know what this guy is all about. It seems, in my opinion, he seems to just be mentally unbalanced. He's married to a Bernie bro who writes petitions demanding that schools institute critical race theory and have diversity trainings and hire more black teachers. So I think it would be hard to keep the white supremacy secret in that relationship. So I just have to be really careful on how I word blogs now. And I feel like I do it more appropriately and carefully than any like mainstream or real media outlet, you know? But you all know that, and I all know that. And every people read it, man. They love it. Whether or not they can openly admit it, I mean, that's their thing to get over. I don't care. As long as they read it, I know people are going to keep reading it. So I'm not even worried about that. Like, I'll be doing this for years to come, baby. I might grow slowly, but I'm going to this is going to be my life. This is going to be what I'm going to do for the rest of my life is, really my working life is deliver the news, right? Entertain people, write stories, investigate. There will always be a need for that. And I will always be here to provide it. And with the things that I've overcome, quite frankly, I can overcome any obstacle that you put in front of me because I have. They keep putting obstacles in front of me. I keep jumping over them. That's what I do. And they cannot silence me because of that. It will not work. It will not work. Okay, other questions. I would like a job, Uncle. How can I get one with you? Don't change a thing with what you said just about critical race theory. You're the only one. Absolutely. Yeah, maybe someday I'll be able to hire people. Maybe someday. I missed the Saturday night show because I had friends come over with 0 masks. Ooh, you rebel. You rebel. It's spreading COVID. How can Andy redeem himself? I would like to, I'm going to keep the lines of communication open. Like next time I message Andy with the story, now Andy knows, no pun intended there. Andy knows that when I send him a story idea, it's legit. Like it's a legit story. And so hopefully I just think he doesn't understand what I do. And he needs to follow me and take me a little bit more seriously. And with that, I think, that's what people like Jerry do. Like they get it. They learned pretty quick. And perhaps he will as well. How many verified blue check marks on Twitter kept up the narrative that so many. And they're not exactly. They're definitely not reliable just because they scored a simp check mark. Exactly. It means absolutely nothing. It means absolutely nothing. Thank you, KB, for the dono. Habs versus Tampa. I know it really is a horrible, horrible Stanley Cup Finals. Just horrid. And like people ask me all the time, who's going to win the Stanley Cup? I don't know. You always ask me that. How are the Bruins going to do? Fuck if I know. Fuck if you know. Nobody knows. Because the best team doesn't win in hockey all the time. There's a lot of luck to this. Montreal went 24-32 this year. Yeah, they sucked. If they were in our other half of the bracket, I don't even want to call it the Eastern Conference anymore because I don't know what it is. They would not have made the playoffs. Yeah. The hell was that? Okay, timeout. Timeout. There we go. That's better. Okay. So they had a worse record than Dallas, and they made the goddamn playoffs. So I don't know. I just feel like the fact that Montreal's in the Stanley Cup Finals is just a joke. I can't root for Montreal, so I guess I have to want Tampa to win, which sucks because I just find them extremely unlikable. I've always found the Florida hockey unlikable. Give me a break. I don't really like the Islanders. Man, this was the year, man. The Bruins could have won it all, man. If they had just beaten. How the fuck did they lose that series? Still can't believe that. But if they had won that series like they're supposed to, we'd be looking at a Stanley Cup Finals. Because getting rid of Colorado and Vegas, like those are the two best teams in hockey this year, and they're gone. So it is what it is. Although when you look about it, I didn't even think about this. Like Tampa Bay is about to have their third championship parade in like the last 9 months. I assume, did they have one for the first, the Lightning and the reigning Stanley Cup champs? That counted. The one that last year counted somehow. They won in the bubble, and then they won the Super Bowl, and now they're about to win the Stanley Cup again. And oh yeah, aren't the Rays pretty good too? So how the fuck did Tampa Bay become the city of champions all of a sudden? How'd that happen? Oh, Tom Brady, wherever he goes, I guess, right? Yes, I do need to get David back on here soon. I agree with that completely. Monica, no, she would not. I don't think anyone's suing her. I mean, how many times? I told you they weren't going to sue. This fucking lawyer, what's he doing? Oh, yeah, they'll sue soon. Oh, yeah, sure they will. Oh, yeah, go ahead. Just call my daughter a murderer 5 million times and we won't sue. Okay. Ordway's retiring. Didn't Ordway already retire one time? And he came back. I like Glenn. Ordway. He's fine. He's good. Better than Andy Gresh. The last time the Habs went to the finals was 93. They had the easiest road to the cup that year too. Quebec. Well, that was the Avalanche back then. Buffalo, Islanders, and the Kings. Didn't they have Gretzky, the Kings, that year, though? Every team they played stunk. I'm not an expert. I can't talk about the 93 Buffalo Sabres and comment on them. But I believe the Avalanche, wasn't Quebec good back then? And the Kings with Gretzky? I don't remember. But and I think they won in 92. Check out the run the 0-2 Red Wings had. The 0-2 Red Wings were the biggest favorite to ever win a Stanley Cup, like by far. But that was a powerhouse thing they had back in the early 2000s, late 90s. Okay, any more questions? There's Caitlin Schmoker. How you doing, Caitlin Schmoker? Gresh is awful. I agree completely. Gianetti's on a bender. Oh, thank you, Deb. I appreciate that. I know the depression, anxiety, ADHD blend is no. Oh, it is. It's deadly. We're here for you. Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. I just can't wait until I heard the Red Sox are in first place or whatever. I can't do it. A man has to have principles. I can't, if they make the playoffs this year, I can't watch their games because I made a promise to myself, right? The Major League Baseball hates me because I support the Georgia voting reform law. And they thought that it's so abhorrent, and anybody who likes it is a monster. It's so disgusting that they can't even play the All-Star game in that state. So how can I support this garbage? The Red Sox have Black Lives Matter, huge banner for a communist organization. Fuck that. I can't do it, man. Man has to take a stand. So all I'm thinking about these days, man, is football. All I'm thinking about is football. How long till football starts? Give me football. Marion Ryan finally charged the Mellow kid that killed the kid. Oh, with Oh, yes, I did see that. I did. She upgraded the charges. That was good. That was good. Ken says, I just wanted to say thanks to Turtleboy. I suffer from combat PTSD, and his kind words helped me. Oh, well, thanks, Ken. Glad to hear that, man. Thank you for your service to our country, too, as well. Will the truth about Winthrop ever come out? I think it already kind of has. I mean, well, yes, I do think it will all come out. Like, I feel like I put the truth out today. Yeah, I heard I am missing a great Red Sox season, and I thought they were going to suck, so I thought it'd be easy to just not watch them. I looked at them going, I'm like, who the hell is on their, who they got for pitches? Sale's hurt. Who's pitching? Nate Eovaldi is the game one. I'm like, oh, this is a great season to boycott. They finna suck. But apparently they're good. I don't understand it. And I'd like to see, some of these exciting, I'm missing Rafael Devers and Xander Bogaerts in the primes of their career. And that sucks because those are great players. And I don't, and even the rest of baseball, I used to do fantasy baseball. I don't even know who the best, I guess Fernando Tatis Jr. and Vladdy Guerrero's kid and the Japanese guy who hits and pitches. I'm missing all these guys. I used to be so into fantasy baseball, man. I used to love that shit. But I don't even know who's the best anymore. It sucks. Mac Jones or Newton? I think Cam Newton's going to start the season. I think you're crazy if you think he's not. Jerry thinks so. Mac Jones ain't going to start. Of the 5 first-round draft pick quarterbacks, the only one who's going to start week 1 for sure is going to be Trevor Lawrence. He'll start week 1. I'm pretty sure Zach Wilson will start because the Jets have just invested so much in him. I think he's going to suck. But I do not think Trey Lance will even see the field this year because I think Jimmy Garoppolo will have a good year. And I think, well, if he stays healthy, I think Justin Fields is going to be one of the better ones from that draft. I love Justin Fields. And he only has Andy Dalton in front of him, but Andy Dalton will start week 1 for the Bears. And Cam Newton's going to start. He's going to start week 1. Bill Belichick isn't having him here to sit. And I don't care how bad he looks. But when Cam sucks, which he will, he can't throw, Mac Jones will play this year, and he'll be the starter by the end, especially if he starts winning a couple games. Have you seen how bad, guys, the Patriots' schedule is this year? It's great. Let me pull it up. Check this out. You guys excited about football? I can't wait to fucking football stats. Check out the Patriots schedule this year. Tell me this isn't awesome. Let me make this bigger. So, regular season. So, we start off with the Patriots, at home against the Dolphins. Then go to the Jets. Then we get the Saints without the first year without Drew Brees. We get the Saints. That's luck. And then we got the Bucs, obviously. So ideally, you'd like to come out of these first 4 games 3-1. Like you have to beat the Jets, obviously. I'd say the Saints is a must win at home with Jameis Winston. And you don't know what the Dolphins have. I mean, who knows what Tua is going to be like? And I mean, this is the most likely loss, obviously. But I just feel like it's going to be a win at the same time. And then we get the Texans with no Deshaun Watson, probably. The Texans are supposed to be the worst team in football. So we got lucky. We got Saints and Texans with the first year with no Breeze and no Watson. The Cowboys should be a lot better this year, obviously. And then we get the Jets again. Then you get the Chargers, who we beat 45-0 next year. They will be better this year with Justin Herbert, a year older. But then the Panthers suck. We get more Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold left the division, and he's still going to be seeing ghosts. So in this first 9 games, I don't see why they can't go 7-2, right? They can't win 7 of these games. Jets win. Saints win. Texans win. Chargers win. Panthers win. Those are all wins. Dolphins, Buccaneers, Cowboys win one of those, and you go 7-2. Then you got the second half. Browns are good. That's a tough one, but it's at home. Falcons, you should wax without Julio Jones. Titans are going to be Titans are a formidable opponent, and we know what happened the last time we played the Titans. So that's a tough one. So those are 2 tough ones there. Obviously, the Bills are good, and you got them twice. The Colts, I'll never be scared of the Indianapolis Colts for as long as I live. I don't care who's on the fucking Colts. I'm never scared of the Colts, especially with Carson Wentz leading the way. So I ain't scared of what the hell happened to him. I'm not scared of Carson Wentz. And finally, the schedule ends with who do we end with? We end with the Colts. Then the Jaguars win, Dolphins, whatever. So they're going to have 17 games this year. You telling me they can't go 12-5 with the schedule? Come on. Maybe you split one with Buffalo. They could split with Buffalo. They're good, but they're not. They're the Bills at the end of the day. Like we almost beat them last year. Let's go. I mean, 12. What do you guys think? How many wins? What do you guys? Let's hear predictions right now in the comments. How many wins did the Patriots get this year? I'm saying it right now. I say 12-5. That's my hot take of the year. 12-5 for the Patriots because they have a shitty schedule. You saw those teams. I mean, you guys agree with me, right? Like the Saints without Breeze and the Texans without Deshaun Watson. We got lucky. M Job says 11-6. Dolphins always win one. They do. Did they win 1 or 2 last year against us? I forget how it went last year. We beat them in the first game of the season. Then they won the second one. Yeah. Oh, Christian says 13-4. Savvy says 13-4. Zachary says 10-8. That means they would make the playoffs and lose in the wild card. Lionel missed the memo that it's a 17-game season. He says 9-7. Nick says 11-6, 11-6, 11-6. Going high, 13 wins. 13 wins, says Suzep. So 13-4. Okay. So the golf tournament is 10 a.m. on July 26th. I've been meaning to put up a new blog about that. I'll do that tonight. Yeah. 10 wins, but I'm a Bills fan. I mean, 10 wins, you'll go 10-7. That could make the playoffs. Everybody makes the wild card now that there's 7 teams that get in. So stupid. Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing all people picking winning records. So there you go. Okay. All right. You're right about that, Mark G. Turtleboy being spitting facts for a while now. Big a deal, me. Any other questions that you nice folks have? Thoughts on Gwen Berry? Oh, what a cunt. Oh, what a fucking filthy, nasty cunt she is. That's what I think of her. I see her up there. It's just like, oh, fuck you, you spoiled, entitled princess bitch. That's what I think of her. What a cunt to do. Like, fuck you. You have everything handed to you in life. You're jacked. You're in no way, shape, or form discriminated against. You get to go to these games for free. And you're representing your country. Like, here's my question with that shit. When I see that happen, people are like, oh, free speech. That's what makes America great. You can protest. Okay. Well, let me ask you this. How come we're the only country in the world that does this? Have you ever seen another country do this to their own flag? I've seen the other teams take the knee. A lot of these Western European countries, like people like Belgium took a knee. They're in the Euro Cup. Yeah, they took a knee at the beginning of the game. They didn't take a knee during the Belgian national anthem because they're happy to be there because Belgium's a small country. And like they're very, like the smaller the country, the more proud the people from that area are. How's David feeling about the Welsh? Wales made the freaking Euro Cup and they lost in the first round. They still made it. I highly doubt any of them like disrespected does Wales even have a national anthem? I don't know. They even a country or what are they? A province? I don't get it, but that it's just like, have you ever seen, okay, obviously the Chinese and the Russians are not going to do that, right? Because you can't do that in a communist dictatorship. Like that's a big no. Like Vladimir Putin's going to off for your head. Okay, so I understand that they are not going to do that, and I get why. So then why doesn't France ever do that? Like, why isn't France ever protest their flag? Are you saying that institutional racism only happens in America? Institutional racism doesn't exist in England? If it doesn't exist in England, then why is there a Black Lives Matter chapter in England? Why are there BLM protests in London? Right? Germany doesn't have racism. All these Western European countries have had essentially open borders for years now. Like the French team is almost all black. That wasn't how France used to be. Okay? They've opened their borders up. A lot of African immigrants coming into France in places like that. Culture's changing. But yet, they still respect the French flag. The only people in the world who just disrespect their own country in front of the world are Americans. That's it. Do you understand how that makes us look to the world? Like, do you understand that's why it should be banned. The IOC should be like, American Olympic Committee should be like, no. You represent like the company. Like you could not do that to your own company. If you were representing your company on a national, you couldn't just disrespect your company. You're representing this country. You can't just, it's embarrassing to be like, well, we have a country full of ingrates and assholes who just think it's so fucking horrible here. And then the rest of the world, like Vladimir Putin used that as propaganda against us at his meeting with Biden. He's like, if America is so great, then why do you have all these Black Lives Matter protests? Why are black people discriminated against? And what Biden was probably thinking is, they're not. I have to pretend they are to get elected. At least that's something they told me to say. Anyway, any other questions? How will Cam take it when he's eventually benched? I think luckily it'll be like an injury thing. Might be like a Bledsoe thing. So hopefully that's how it does. But, I think Cam will be fine. I mean, he's a nice guy. Especially if Mac tears it up. And he likes him. He's like, oh, that's my boy Mac and Cheese. Getting shit done. How can you not love Belgium? I don't understand why Belgium's a fake country. Don't get me started on Belgium. I've been to Belgium for too. I can talk. You know what they speak there? Like 5 languages. I don't. What's their official language? I think it's something called Flemish, like your Flem. And it's just a cut through between real countries. Like it's how you get from Germany to France. It's the Connecticut of Europe. And somehow they've become really good at soccer in the last 10 years. Good waffles, though, you're right. Okay. Anything else, guys? The Bucks and Hawks are on right now. The NBA's finals. Hawks are wearing jerseys that say MLK on them. I literally thought it stood for Milwaukee. At least it says MLK and not George Floyd. What's the score in that? They holding on. The Clippers won Game 5. So they're making a series out of that. I think Suns Bucks is a great final. So much better than the NHL. Thanks, Nick. I appreciate it. All right. If you guys don't have any more questions, then I guess we will call it an evening, and we will see you all. If you haven't signed up for Turtle Club, you can still sign up for that. I'll be here on the website, TV Daily News and TurtleboySports.com, streaming tomorrow night. So tune in for Turtle Club, and I'll probably be showing the Mike Shivick video. All right. Peace, Turtle Riders.